Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another ultimate comparison. In this episode, the boAt Stone 1450 is going to go head to head with the boAt Stone 1500, and you knew this had to happen. I'm sure many of you are really confused as to which one you should get because the 1450 is the latest, while the 1500 is, well, is a legend in its own right. So which one should you get? So I'm going to answer all that and give you my verdict. But before we begin, if you do appreciate my efforts and like the content that I make, please smash the like button, leave a comment about what you want to see next and how you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And after watching this review and comparison, if you are convinced that one of these speakers or both are the one that you want to get, my only request is please use the link of these speakers given in the description below to make your purchase. You have my word, it's not going to cost you anything extra, but you guys will be helping me run this channel and produce more such high quality and helpful content just for you guys. Okay, so with that said, let's start. So the boAt Stone 1450 versus the boAt Stone 1500. The new versus the old. So is it going to be David versus Goliath? That is what I'm going to let you know. Now, there are a number of differences and similarities that both these speakers share. So I'm not going to waste your time by going over each and every one of them. Rather, the chart you're seeing right now basically summarizes all of that for you. So have a good look at this chart and jot down the points that matter to you. Now, talking about the build quality, well, both feel premium. They both feel robust. So the 1450 has got I personally feel it looks a tad bit more hep and funky, and I really love the integrated handle which the 1450 has compared to the 1500 which has carrying straps. I personally find carrying straps a bit messy. I would much rather have an integrated handle. It feels much more sturdy and reliable. But apart from that, both feel dense and high quality. I feel that the boAt Stone 1500 is a tad bit heavier than the 1450, but in terms of build, I really have no complaints. Both don't have any cheap build quality. They feel really good. Button placement is good on both, but personally, I prefer the button placement of the 1450. It's easier to manage and it's tactile, it's clicky compared to this. If RGB lights are a thing for you, well, the 1450 has that, the 1500 does not. I personally am not a fan of RGB lights. It's just a waste of battery. For me, I feel I'd much rather have better battery backup. All right, so with that out of the way, now let's get into the main thing, which is the audio quality, which is based on which primarily you should make your choice. And the other thing that could also play a role is the price. So obviously, the boAt Stone 1500 is the more expensive of the two. The 1450 is cheaper in comparison, but during offers, which happens every year, during those times, you almost will get the 1500 for the same price as the 1450. Now, obviously, the 1450 might even go down further in price, so it'll be a tough situation. But if budget is not a factor, and audio quality is all that you care about, well, now this is the part that's going to get interesting. So you guys know, if you're an existing viewer, I never just say good sound or bad sound. I delve deeper and give you my verdict in detail and let you know that I judge speakers based on how they produce the three main frequencies that broadly make up any sound that you hear: the highs, the mids, and the lows. The highs, where the really sharp sounding instruments are, the mids, where the vocals lie, and the lows or the bass, which we all love. Now, while both of these are 40 watt speakers, I have to say that without a doubt, the boAt Stone 1500 is far louder than the boAt Stone 1450. So let's just get that out of the way. Even at max volume, the boAt Stone 1500 in terms of just sheer volume outperforms the boAt Stone 1450. So if that is a factor, you better jot that down. Okay, now talking about the high frequencies, well, both of these had no problem rendering the high frequencies at max volume, no distortion, no crackling. But if it comes to clarity and sharpness, the boAt Stone 1500 absolutely takes the win because it just sounds so much more sharper, so much more, it has so much more clarity and is so much more in your face. So you cannot miss the high frequencies. While the 1450 gives you a much more subdued and balanced high in comparison. And I keep saying, guys, that it's only when I compare these speakers side by side that I can let you know where they outperform or, surpass one another. But in general, though I really enjoyed the high frequencies of the 1450, the 1500's high frequencies are so much more upfront and sharp that it's hard to miss. Now, any average listener would automatically gravitate towards the 1500 because it's louder, it's sharper, got more clarity. But I guess for a purist out there, it'll come down to your personal preference. If you don't like that extra bit of sharpness, you don't want that really, really sharp rendition of the higher frequencies, you would go for the 1450 because it just sounds much more subdued yet natural, while the 1500 just goes all out with the highs. So your personal preference, whichever suits your taste, get that. But either way, you can't go wrong with either. But in comparison to one another, it's the 1500 that has much more sharper highs with much more clarity. All right, so now talking about the mid frequencies or the vocals, again, the same thing happens. It's the sheer clarity and sharpness of the 1500 that keeps surpassing that of the 1450. Now, the 1450 in itself is no slouch. It's really good. Very clean vocals. I mean, both have absolutely clean vocals, no distortion, no crackling, and even the highs and mids don't interfere with one another, so there is no muffling of the sound. But if you do compare and if you do want that extra bit of volume in the vocals and you want it to be more upfront, then it's the 1500 once again. That just sounds so much more upfront and bright and sharp compared to the 1450, which sounds more natural but subdued. And I'm guessing the difference in volume, even though they are both 40 watts, like I said, the 1500 being so much more louder than the 1450, it gives the impression that it's really outperforming. Now, again, like I said, it's going to come down to your taste. If you really want that clarity, that sharpness, that upfront volume, you would want the 1500. But in itself, the 1450 is no slouch. It sounds good, it sounds natural, and if you don't like that extra bit of sharpness that the 1500 provides, you would be better off with the 1450. Okay, so now let's get into the low frequency or the bass. I have to say that I kind of knew what the result would be, and I was right. It was the 1500, whose bass is just so much more powerful and punchy and thick that it absolutely wipes the floor with the 1450. So in terms of bass, the 1500 is unmatched. So it just simply outperforms the 1450. It just sounds much more thumpy, it's thicker, it's just much more powerful and much more enjoyable to listen to. Both have two EQ modes, indoor and outdoor mode. And the 1500 has that advantage where when you turn on the outdoor mode or indoor mode, when you change between these two EQ modes, it will verbally confirm which mode it is in. While for the 1450, it's absolutely guesswork. So if you've seen my review of the 1450 itself, you'll know that you have to listen very closely to understand what the differences are. So the difference I found when shifting between indoor and outdoor mode. So indoor mode is what they come in out of the box. So for the 1450, the indoor mode has a natural soundstage or a neutral soundstage. So no extra bass, and all of them sound very clean and very natural. And for the Boatstone 1500, again, the indoor mode just sounds as powerful. I mean, in comparison, even in indoor mode, the 1500 is so much more louder and powerful than the 1450. Now, when you turn on outdoor mode on the 1450, the bass response becomes a bit more heavy. So the bass gets a bit more thumpy. So it doesn't make a huge difference, but it is noticeable if you really pay attention. Now for the 1500, when you turn on outdoor mode, so the high and mid frequencies take a huge jump. So they become even more sharp and have a lot more clarity than they did out of the box with indoor mode. And the bass also increases by a margin. But for my taste, I would say that the outdoor mode on the 1500 makes the highs and mids a bit too sharp. It doesn't sound natural, and I would refrain from using that. So the sound test which you will hear on these two speakers, I've kept both of them in indoor mode because that is what it comes right out of the box. So it's going to play at max volume, and you will listen to the track that I played. It's going to be the same track. So you guys will get an idea of what the sheer difference is in volume and quality. If budget wasn't a factor, like I said, keep in mind the points that I mentioned. If sheer power, volume, and clarity is what you want, go for the boAt 1500. Otherwise, if you want a very natural soundstage, which has still got punchy bass and all the frequencies sound very natural and pleasing without any extra sharpness, then the 1450 is going to suit you just fine. So if you're a bass head, go for the 1500. Else, depending on your taste, your preferences, choose wisely. So guys, now we are going to get into the sound test. Same tracks at 100% volume, going to play in indoor mode on these two speakers. You guys listen, form your judgment, and let me know in the comments below what you guys think. So I hope I have cleared your doubts. And well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, share this video with your friends and family, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I said, if you do decide to pick up either of these speakers, please use the link of these speakers given in the description below to make your purchase so that you can help me run this channel and produce more such high quality and helpful content just for you guys. So thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys very soon in the next one. Cheers.
Creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.